It is exactly 1 p.m. East African time on this 8th day of April 2025. Good afternoon and a warm welcome to KBC Lunchtime News. We have a detailed and loaded bulletin right here lined up for you, including what is currently going on at IEBC at the College of Insurance. We're also keeping tabs with the parliamentary committees that are currently sitting in Parliament. My name is Njue, and Lensa Odingo is my colleague on the sign language interpretation. Welcome to the broadcast. Let us begin at the Kenya College of Insurance, where already 5 candidates that were scheduled to be interviewed today are currently being interviewed. Already we have 2 done. We still have more. Let's first of all listen.
I am the senior most. I'm there for the county. So there's no time of me saying I'll call the CCM or anyone. I have to do what is right there and then. And finally, I was able to put down the tempers. The meeting continued, and I told them, okay, you come even to the office and we discuss what your issues are. And it is a sad state, and that is general what is happening in Kenya, that there was no issue per se, but they just wanted, it's an event, there are some funds which are used, so they should also be part of those funds. And especially because the person in charge is a lady. That is what I came and found out. So such an issue, I have gone through such, and it was not women, it was men, young men and men anyway. And for women, I will say we have come out of, women generally, we have come out of those nitty-gritty issues of a woman against another woman. We really try to hold each other, and we really try to cover and bring up each other. So for women, for now, I can't say anything much.
Thank you very much, and all the best, Chairman.
Thank you.
Asante. Professor Adam Solo, please.
Thank you, Chair Jacinta. Let me join my colleagues kwa kupatia heko for what you have achieved so far.
Asante.
Just following from where you have just left. In your career, what's the most stressful situation you have faced in your career so far? How did you handle it?
Through the chair, the most stressful, in resource mobilization, I'll say, it was very stressful. This second term, because I've been in resource twice, I've been in revenue, and then I was in resource as a chief officer. Because the structures, the staffing were not properly aligned. The targets, to achieve the targets was next to impossible. So I had now to include the people above me to show them the real situation on the ground, and then what can we do to turn it around. It was stressful, and not only stressful, some of those areas are also dangerous because you touch a person who has been there for years, a person who has also other links. So even giving that information, you have to really coin it in such a manner that it will uphold the standards of you are very impartial. You are very impartial. You are not talking about Mr. X because of any other issue, but because of the relevant, let's say, targets and the history about it and so on. so that the other person, the higher person than me, can understand it, and then now you give your input of what you want to do for that turnaround. And still, it's not that easy. It is challenging. It is frustrating.
I hear you, and many a time, globally, and including in Kenya, when a woman is of strong character, she's called Iron Lady. Are you an Iron Lady?
The Nelson Makanda team, they are continuing with the IEBC commissioners' interviews. Today, actually, we have 5 who are gunning for a seat at the IEBC. Of course, the interviews conclude on the 24th of this month. More a little bit later. Moving on, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has directed for the immediate arrest of politicians sponsoring youths to engage in criminal activities. During his second day of Njue la Usalama Coastal Region tour, the CS further announced a crackdown on politicians allegedly financing criminal activities in the region.
During his second day of Njue la Usalama Coastal Region tour, the Interior CS said the state will intensify security operations in the Kwale County and the surrounding areas to apprehend individuals sponsoring political chaos.
Hawa majangili, na pia kama vile nilisema jana, tunatafuta wale ambao wanawafadhili na wale wanawapatia support ya kisiasa. Kama wao wamechaguliwa ama hawajachaguliwa, tutahakikisha kwamba wamechukuliwa hatua ya kisheria. Tuna habari ya kwamba kuna wanaharakati ya kisiasa kwa sehemu hizi ambao wanaita mikutano ya kisiri na ya usiku, na hao vijana wakitudanganya kwamba walikuwa wanajaribu kusaidia.
CS Murkomen revealed that the government was on the trail of several politicians sponsoring criminal activities.
Baada ya mikutano kama haya, watu wanaporwa na visa vya uhalifu unaongezeka. Itamaanisha ya kwamba tunashuku wanaharakati kama hawa, na kwa hivyo kwa sababu uchunguzi unaendelea, wale tutawapata na hatia, haswa wale wanasaidia kufanya uchochezi, watachukuliwa hatua ya kisheria. Mbali na haya, nataka ni hakikishia wananchi wa sehemu hii ya Kwale na taifa nzima ya kwamba tuko na uwezo ya kudhibiti.
He further put on notice security officers believed to be collaborators of the alleged criminals.
Lakini shida kubwa pia tuko nayo ni kwamba wale ambao wanashikwa wanapelekwa kotini na wanaachiliwa kwa hata bila dhamana yoyote, wanaambiwa tu wameachiliwa.
Meanwhile, the Interior CS said the Njue la Usalama Coastal Region tour will focus on strategies to eradicate local criminal gangs, seeking ways of dealing with school dropout cases, land disputes and border security.
From security to some politics now, where the ODM grassroots elections have continued amid widespread claims of irregularities and exclusion in different counties. In Mombasa, tension is rising as different factions within the ODM party gear up for the upcoming grassroots elections slated for Wednesday. This comes barely hours after the said elections in Western and Nyanza region were marred with violence that left 3 people seriously injured in Homa Bay.
The Orange Democratic Movement Party grassroots elections have been anything but a turbulent sail for party officials overseeing the process across the country. In Mombasa County, candidates eyeing different positions are voicing their frustrations, claiming the selection process had been manipulated.
Na kusema kweli election haijafanyika kwa sababu kila team iko peke yake. Sasa tunafanya elections kila mtu yuko peke yake. This is one fake faction. Hakuna watu tulikuwa tuna compete nao.
Lakini kenye imetusangasha, tumekuja kwa polling station ambao mnaiona hapa ni Maweni polling station, na hatujaona kitu chochote, hatujaona watu yoyote hapa. Sasa hatujui ni mpangilio gani ambao wana ODM walikuwa naye.
Sisi ndo tulochaguliwa kwa madelegate ya Mtopanga ward. Na tulifanya uchaguzi wa halali kabisa, na tukaufanya na majina tukapeleka na kila kitu. lakini saa hii kumetokea confusion na tuzielewi zimetokea kwa wapi.
The elections slated for Wednesday have seen tension rise, with candidates alleging that some leaders had met in a hotel to choose candidates rather than holding a fair election.
Nimetaka kiti cha youth, lakini kuliitwa bonyenye fulani kwa hoteli akapewa kiti. Akaambiwa wewe kuanzia leo ndo chairman wa youth Zwala Ng'ombe ward. Sisi tumekataa. Na ukora nyingine yenye ODM unaweka. Ati mmesema Mkomani, anda Mkomani ward kuna shule inaitwa ati Pangani Primary. Kuna Pangani Primary? Tu hiyo ukora mmezoea. Na chama si ODM, my friend. Mungikataa kutusikiza, we'll mobilize our people and call them, we'll tell them the way ODM is taking us is not fair.
While in Migori County, Joseph Olala, the ODM coordinator in the county, stated that the nomination process in Suna West Sub-County was conducted according to the ODM party guidelines, despite complaints that the exercise did not involve ODM agents at the ward level.
Sasa nimechaguliwa mwenyekiti wa Suna Central Ward. Niko na ofisi yangu ile nimechagua watu wafanya nao kazi.
Na watu wengi. Vila nimechaguliwa na wamama, inaonekana kama nimeenda unopposed.
We have chosen our leaders and we are going to move ahead with him.
Hata kuna mmoja amenambia wazi kwamba wanashurutishwa na wale ambao tunawaita wabunge. Wabunge wanawashurutisha, wabunge wanataka wafanye jinsi wenyewe wanavyopenda.
This comes barely hours after the said elections in Western Nyanza were marred with violence and confusion. In the constituency, Homa Bay County, rival youths clashed, leaving 3 people injured, and they are currently nursing injuries at the Homa Bay Teaching and Referral Hospital.
So one had his hand chopped off, the left hand from the mid hand. It was chopped off, and he is also in theater right now, in the hands of the surgeons. The other one got deep cut-wounds on the back, which has been sutured and is also stable. The last one, I just arrived, is reported that also has a cut wound on the neck, currently bandaged, dressed well, waiting to go in for surgery.
In a separate incident, 2 delegates died in a road accident while heading to Kabunde polling station.
Patients, the first group, actually was a case of accident that happened near Rouge on your way to Rodi, and it is reported that there was a boda rider, a motorbike rider with 2 pillion passengers, and the boda rider seemingly died on the spot, while another one was brought in with multiple fractures involving the hip, the limbs.
The vehicle they were traveling in collided with an oncoming lorry, leaving 1 survivor. A total of 77 party officials are set to be elected at the sub-branch and branch levels across 4 committees: Mainstream, Women's League, Youth League and Disability League. Abdiaziz Hashim for Lunchtime News.
Away from party politics, a consortium of 19 health practitioners association under the Kenya Health Professional Society are demanding to be included in the decision-making process and ongoing reforms in the health sector. KHPS Chairman Mohamed Duba says while the union is confident in the new Health Cabinet Secretary Aidan Duale, efforts to steer the sector in the right direction may not yield fruits should the ministry fail to incorporate all stakeholders. He says they are ready to offer solutions to the numerous strikes, among other challenges hampering the delivery of quality health care in the country.
Historically, Kenya Health Professional Society has actively participated in various engagements, particularly around labor-related issues. However, our members often lack formal representation, leading to their exclusion from negotiation and key decision-making processes.
Tunafaa kusikizwa na kupewa nafasi sawa kwa sababu katika idara ya afya kuna sectors, kuna professionals aina nyingi ambazo zinafanya afya ili kuweza kung'aa ama kuweza kupeana services ambazo zinafaa.
Maneno ya intercounty transfer has been addressed for so long na bado haijakuja kuwa. People are still suffering. Kuna shortages in the national government because officers cannot move from the county to national. We request the government to look into it in a matter of urgency.
Still on health, stakeholders from both the health and human rights sector have raised concern over alarming cases of teenage pregnancies in Laikipia County. Speaking in Njue during a 10-kilometer run organized by Binti Mwangaza, a community-based organization in Njue, the stakeholders revealed that 20,000 pregnancies are recorded annually, with more than 6,000 affecting teenage girls. They further say that some of the challenges associated with the high number of teenage pregnancies in the county were harmful cultural practices, lack of access to menstrual health products, and poverty, with the majority of families living below $1 a day.
We have girls missing school because of lack of sanitary towels. We also see young girls getting into early relationships, even having cases of early pregnancies because of lack of pads or sanitary towels. That's why I've come here to participate.
We've realized that there is a lot of period stigma that goes on in mostly dealing with the pastoralists and the other communities that are around our county like Laikipia, and that's why we try to make it more, to create so much awareness to this community.
Of all the pregnancies we have in Laikipia, 20,000 pregnancies in a year, a third of them, slightly more than 6,000, are attributed to teenagers.
Elsewhere, mental health crusaders are now calling for urgent interventions to address the mental health issues that they say are on the rise in the country. The stakeholders, among them NACADA, clerics and therapists, are also calling for collaboration in promoting mental well-being, improving access to mental health, reducing stigma and enhancing the country's productivity. Speaking during a marathon organized to raise funds to address mental health issues in the country, stakeholders led by Federation of Evangelical and Indigenous Christian Churches of Kenya, FEICC, Secretary General Bishop David Thagana, noted that youth are the most affected by the menace. He rooted for prompt medical or mental health interventions, including early detection and support, which are crucial for improving outcomes and preventing crisis.
Already not got into drug addiction and drinking and messing their lives, that they can be prevented or protected by being given information that can help them make wise decisions on these matters.
Most of our parents, they don't play their role as far as giving proper guidance to their children. Na hao watoto wameenda kwamba wameingia katika mihadarati. Kwa hivyo sisi leo tumekuja kuwaelezea kwamba wazazi wana majukumu ya kuwapatia mwelekeo.
We were trying to sensitize this region of Githurai and Wendani in matters drugs and substance abuse, in conjunction to their effects and how they affect our own mental wellness, and not only for those who are using, but also for their families, their loved ones, their children, and those in the society.
And residents of Samburu County have been urged to donate blood to save patients in need of blood transfusion to save their lives. This was the clarion call at Samburu Referral Hospital during the launch of a blood donation exercise. Health officials revealed that the hospital was experiencing a shortage of blood, which was affecting operations, as the amount of blood they receive from the county and central governments does not meet their needs.
Katika County Referral Hospital tunaweza kutoa damu kwa ajili ya wananchi wetu, na tusiongoje tu wakati tuko na wagonjwa, because damu inahitajika kila wakati, na pengine siku moja ni wewe utahitaji. So tunahitaji kila wakati tukiwa na nafasi. Ukisikia kwamba uko na afya mzuri, tuko na madaktari wako tayari kila wakati. Kuja tu, ingia ndani ya hospitali, sema mimi nataka kutoa damu, na madaktari wetu wako tayari kila wakati.
Tunatumia damu kiasi ya 120 to 300 pints units per month. Na hii imekuwa changamoto kupata damu ile kiasi ambayo tunataka kwa sababu ya changamoto mingi. Changamoto ya kwanza ni support, ile msaada kutoka kwa national na county government inakuwa haitoshelezi.
Now, youth have been challenged to embrace true Christian teachings and values to become upright, dependable individuals. This call reverberated during the launch of a Youth and Pathfinders camp at Committee Prison grounds in Kiambu County. Seventh-day Adventist Church in Kenya Youth Director J.P. Masai decried the negative impact of social media in eroding values as the youth seek relevance. He also called on the church to play its role in molding the youth to be responsible citizens.
I've been carried away by social media. We are influenced by social media more than the values we grew up. Some of us grew up without social media. We were taught, we were taken to church and taught Christianity so that we grew up as Christians. Not anymore, because social media has become the religion of the time.
All of us are products of our society, and sometimes society doesn't have the best contribution. In our times of social media, where we have all this information, it is important for us to know that there is a source of a life that gives you hope, that gives you holiness, that enables you to navigate life in a meaningful way.
Residents of Ngomeni area in Magarini, Kilifi County have decried the poor state of the Mjanajeri Ngomeni, which they claim have grounded business operations in the region. The residents say that despite the contractor having arrived at the site, the construction of the 12-kilometer road funded by the Italian government is yet to commence 4 months later. According to the residents, the poor state of the road has almost paralyzed all operations in the region, with several business people remaining grounded.
Kilio cha barabara itengenezwe miaka enda miaka rudi. Na serikali ya Italy ambayo iko na shirika lake hapa la San Marco ikatutunuku na milioni 955 za miradi ya jamii ikiwemo barabara ya Ngomeni. Mwaka umeenda kuisha, barabara contractor amepewa kazi, akakuja akajenga yadi yake ili aanze kazi, akamobilize mashini zake zikaja hapa. Cha ajabu ni kwamba hakulipwa mobilization fee, kazi haijaanza, mashini alizitoa. Sasa hii barabara imekuwa mbaya, tunapata maafa mara kwa mara, magari zinakatika, mabodi zikiangukia wananchi. Hatujapata suluhu na barabara ya Ngomeni.
Very well, at about 23 minutes past the top of the hour, we are due for a fast break. But when we come back, we still have more news on the other side, including the latest from the business and also the sports world.
Today we want to look at what would happen if the energy that the youth carry will be diverted to something constructive. This is not to say that all they do is destructive, but just looking at what about if we focus all this energy and see what kind of a nation we are going to create.
At the end of the day, God requires us to serve him in a young age. When you have the energy to do that, when you have the strength to do that, not when you are old, let me go and serve God, because you think death is near, so that's why you want to serve God. How strong are you? How strong are you? How strong is your Christianity? Because no matter what happens, the chokers of life, the peer pressures, the issues of life, the influence of this life is going to affect. At the end of the day, you know, cross. You have to keep on looking at it.
Usafi umegawanyika sampuli mbili. At-taharatu al-ma'nawiyya ay al-qalbiyya, usafi wa kimoyo, na pia at-taharatu al-badaniyya al-hissiyya, bimaana usafi wa kimwili. Kwa sasa Muislamu lazima ajipambe na vitu hivi vyote viwili, aonekane ndani na nje, aonekane kuwa ni msafi.
Usafi wa moyo unapatikana kwa kumcha Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, kujiepusha na makatazo ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, na vile vile pia kuondoa chuki, wivu na unafiki, ama mambo yote ambayo yanaweza kuharibu imani ya
Welcome back to Lunchtime News. Moving on, Baringo County Police Commander Julius Kirago has warned criminals in Baringo causing residents sleepless nights that they will face the full force of the law. This comes as Githunguri MP Gathoni wa Mushomba presented herself at the Kiambu Directorate of Criminal Investigations, alleging her life is in danger, demanding the return of her security, whom she says were withdrawn. Timothy Kipnosu with details of this and more stories in the county news briefs.
A Githunguri member of parliament alleged she received a phone call to present herself to the DCI over claims she sponsored youth to her call during the president's tour of Kiambu. Mushomba was accompanied by her legal team, and family members claimed her 4 security officers had been withdrawn, adding that her life was in danger.
Na mimi nipatiwe back my security. In fact, I'm demanding 4 security bodyguards to guard me because I deserve it, don't I? You deserve it. Yes. Na wale walininyang'anya security, tunajua mlininyang'anya ndio munivamie. Sasa nataka security yangu irudishwe with immediate. Yes.
Hiyo maneno ya kuingia kwa ofisi ya mama tumesema tumekataa, hatutaki hiyo kudhulumu mama, asitishie wale wafanyikazi wa mama, na sisi hatutaki hiyo maneno.
Separately, banditry in Baringo County appears to be mutating amid concerns of armed criminals targeting vehicles plying the Marigat-Chemolingot route. Baringo County Police Commander Julius Kirago says they have enhanced security along the highway.
Last week tumekuwa na 2 incidences ambaye wameweza kushambulia magari ya biashara ambaye inafanya biashara, imebeba mboga, chakula, nini, kipeleka Chemolingot na area zingine. So hiyo ndio imefanya tuwe kwa hiyo highway, na ile highway ambayo imekuwa na ile kasehemu ambayo kamekuwa na matatizo ni kutoka hapa Roruku mpaka kambi ya samaki.
Tumekuwa na hofu siku mingi tukikuja. Hakuja kama tumeogopa sababu hatujui kutakuwa aje.
Elsewhere, cleft lip and palate patients can now heave a sigh of relief after Kenyatta University Teaching Research and Referral Hospital began conducting surgeries to rectify the deformities. The hospital has partnered with Operation Smile Kenya in a week-long free surgical camp.
This week, starting today, we are screening up to over 70 patients so that we are able to identify the ones who need surgery and take care of them over the next 10 days.
We need to support families who have this condition.
In the meantime, more than 200 families in Gazi, Msambweni, Kwale County will be forced to spend the night in the cold after their houses were demolished.
Hatuwezi kuishi namna hii. Leo watu wote wako nyumbani, watoto wametawanyika. Sasa mvua hii tutakwenda wapi?
Tuende wapi? Watoto wetu wanakatwa na mapanga. Watu wamekodishwa huko na hao wakubwa.
Meanwhile, Sudan's recent ban on Kenyan tea exports has triggered an uproar among tea farmers and factory directors in Embu County. The ban, particularly targeting Kenya's BP1 tea grade, has left the sector in crisis, as Sudan remains the largest market for this specific tea variety.
Economy ya hapa, watu wetu wanategemea hii biashara, wale ambao ni wenye manjani chai na wale ambao wanategemea hizo mashamba za manjani chai kufanya kazi. Kwa hivyo tungependa serikali ya Kenya iangazie mambo kuhusu soko ya manjani chai.
What the farmers need is not only to see tea of avocado. What they need most is value for their work.
Finally, the Makueni County government is training early childhood development education teachers on nutrition. The training, which is the first of its kind, took place in Kibwezi, Makueni County.
I will encourage parents to learn about good nutrition so that they feed their children well, and even feeding your children with eggs, kama inapatikana, from time to time, maybe once in a week or twice if you're able.
Time to make sense of business. Startups say access to funding remain a major hurdle, slowing down their growth. Speaking in Nairobi during the inaugural Next Stage Startup Pitch competition, Kitsilano Technologies' Caleb Maru hailed the creativity and boldness of Kenyan tech founders, but emphasized the urgent need for more structured funding opportunities. Maru said tech startups can achieve impressive results when given the right support and exposure.
Because Kenya is where we're based, firstly. And secondly, it's the place where I think we see some of the biggest startup potential. We have the most founders here, the most impactful tech companies here, and the most, I guess, like early stage people who are building companies that can have impact. So that's why we chose Kenya, yeah.
For us, it's basically validation from the ecosystem in terms of the value we're bringing to the market. And we couldn't be happier to celebrate this through, securing the win at this event.
Just a big thank you first to Tech Safari and Kitsilano for the winnings. So the plan is obviously to bring new products to the market, hire more people to help us with customer support, and also expand. So we're expanding to Nigeria.
In other news, farmers in Ukambani region have received 1,300 coconut seedlings in a new initiative aimed at diversifying agriculture and boosting rural incomes. Agronomists are urging farmers to embrace modern coconut farming, pledging to offer them training as well as setting up a local processing facility to tap into the growing market for coconut products.
Sasa isipokuwa ni joto nyingi, lakini mvua ya Ukambani na mvua ya Mombasa, kile kiwango cha mvua ukiangalia ni sawa. Kwa hivyo ukiangalia ile climate ya Mombasa na Ukambani inalingana kwa sana. Kwa hivyo Wakamba wakipanda nazi watavuna. Kwa hivyo especially nazi tumepewa.
Kulingana na vile tuna notion ya kwamba mmea huu unakaa miaka mingi. Lakini nataka kusema sio vile. The breed yenye tuko nayo kwa sasa ina mature up by maybe 5 years and then you launch.
Initial stages, hizi stages za kwanza ndio inatakiwa uwe na unaweka at least kama unaweza weka 5 liters per week, hii mnazi inaweza kusurvive.
A stable shilling coupled with prudent forex hedging decisions in 2024 were key in flying Kenya Airways back to profitability after 12 years of loss-making. Kenya Airways Chief Strategy and Innovation Officer Helen Mudhoka said the carrier is keenly monitoring forex changes even as it strategically starts new routes and bolster its fleet to meet growing demand. Mudhoka explained this and more to our reporter Alan Oko in an interview held earlier. Take a look.
It's not easy to turn around a company, any company, but it's more difficult to turn around an airline. Yeah, because there are very many moving parts, there are very many facets that you think about. So the turnaround started, of course, the very first initial turnaround started in 2017. However, COVID came in. So recovering from COVID, of course, took a long period. Even from a country macroeconomics, there were issues because if you think about the currency fluctuations, they really fluctuated. Then there are also other geopolitical issues, like, for example, the wars that impact trading. For instance, fuel prices really skyrocketed in 2021. We saw stability as we went into 2022, 2023. So we have, there are a number of things that will basically affect the airline performance, which are external. However, the most important thing is the continuous focus on the turnaround from an internal perspective. So you see that with a stable shilling, you do not have variations, continuous variations. So, but when you compare 2024 to 2025, 2023 to 2024, sorry, in 2023 we had gains in revenue. So when you're translating your revenues into shillings, you had more revenues. When you're translating your costs into shillings, you also had higher costs. But that was made worse because we still had dollar-denominated loans in the books. So when you're converting the dollar-denominated loans in terms of the value of the opening balance and comparing it to the closing balance with a very unstable or increasing or devaluing shilling, then you're booking a bigger amount into the P&L. Now, come to 2024 with the stability. First, you open with a shilling that is high, but it went reducing. So of course you're reducing your impact on the P&L. But more importantly is the conversion of dollar into shilling loans. So now going forward, you have a stable impact from a P&L, from a loan perspective in terms of translations, because it doesn't exist. So the portion that now exists in terms of dollar-denominated loans is significantly lower. You see, the biggest issue we have, so Forex, you can hedge Forex, yeah? But again, it depends on exactly what it is you're looking at. If it is real transactions that you're hedging for. But if it is book translations, you might not do much on that. Yeah, because you're not hedging a transaction into the future by saying that I will want to set my exchange rate into the future now. So you enter into a hedging transaction. But now these are existing transactions that are in the books. So they're in the past. And all you can do is either do what we call an accounting hedge, effective hedge. So you have to do an effective hedge, confirm whether your hedges are effective, and hence you book any losses or gains through the balance sheet. Alternatively, if they are not effective, then you have to book them through the P&L. So there are only two options. So right now, we have the option of just accounting standards, using the accounting standards for purposes of hedging. My understanding is we have what we call the functional currency in the books. So that is the currency in which you trade in. And then you have the reporting currency, which, for instance, for Kenya Airways is Kenya shilling. So you'll never go wrong because the system automatically does the, what is it called? The conversions. So at the end of every month, what happens is that we take the published rates of the shilling and or rather the average shilling and all other currencies. Actually, it's not, we have a whole all world currencies because we trade with so many currencies. So that is uploaded into the system. The system automatically converts, depending on what the conversion currency was, into the reporting currency. All you do is run. So there is no much debate in terms of is there an error or is there no error. No, it's usually very straightforward. There are two ways of growing an airline. There is what we call organic and inorganic. I think Alan has explained that before. But that is where you basically put your metal, that is your aircraft, onto specific routes. Then the inorganic is where you work with partners to grow your network. Both of them will grow your top line, but when you put your metal, you also it also comes with costs. Of course, when you're using the inorganic, the revenue growth is not as big because it's a percentage, but still you get your passengers to where they need to go. So we have one of the strategies we're looking at is to grow the city pairs. How many places are we able to move passengers from? So you look at we are domiciled in Africa. So we want to basically say that we are able to serve Africa very well, given our geographic positioning. So how many places can we take them worldwide with our partners? So that's one big one. That's one of the big things that we are doing with partners. Number two is opening new routes. So for this year, we have announced Gatwick, and we are starting to fly to Gatwick this summer with 3 frequencies weekly, and we'll grow that as the demand grows. It's a new point in UK, so we'll now in total into the UK we'll be having 10 flights on a weekly basis. So it gives option for somebody who misses a flight to Heathrow. You can always go through Gatwick, and you'll get into London very easily. The other thing we are looking at is how do we serve Africa better. So we are looking at the network, and we keep tweaking to see how to ensure that we are able to serve Africa better in terms of frequencies, in terms of points. And so that basically is the second way we've been growing our network. In 2026, yes, we might have the aircraft we operate as we obtain them through either the operating lease or the finance lease. So starting with the operating lease, it's very straightforward. It's the way you rent a house. It is your house, you pay rent. You utilize it and ensure that you keep it in the condition that you've agreed with your tenant, with your landlord, sorry. That's the same thing with an operating lease. You take an aircraft, it has specific conditions, or rather, it is received in a specific condition. When you're returning it, there is something we call return conditions. It has to have all those the specified conditions for that contract. So you have to maintain it and you have to run it. Aircraft leases are normally long-term because you require to be stable as an airline to ensure that you have this aircraft serving your network for that period. So they are typically 8, 12, 16 years and could even be more. So that is the one form. And we do have aircraft that are leased. I think they are in total 17, if I'm not wrong, but yeah, I can get you the number. Then we have what we call finance lease. A finance lease is a mortgage. So you get your house under mortgage terms. So you pay a deposit and you occupy the house. It is your house. You maintain it up to your standards. And after you finish payment of the lease, the mortgage, you own it. It's the same thing with aircraft. So you get a mortgage, then you basically pay it over a period, typically 12 years. Because why 12? They are expensive assets. So you cannot pay it over a shorter period. Even your own house, you pay it over 10, 15 years, isn't it? So it's the same thing. So it's an expensive asset to acquire, and basically you cannot, very rarely will you find that you can pay 100%, unless you're a big pocket or a deep pocket airline. But most airlines will either go for leasing from a finance perspective or an operating perspective.
That has been my colleague Alan Aoka together with Helen Muthuka, the Chief Strategy and Innovation Officer at KQ, just telling us the turnaround that ensured that KQ made a 5.4 billion shilling profit after 12 years of losses. In other news, integration of technology is key in customizing insurance products to drive uptake. Speaking during the Bank Assurance Exclusive Masterclass in Nairobi, Group Strategy and Business Excellence Brian Njue said artificial intelligence is becoming a virtual tool in delivering smarter, more responsive financial protection to customers. Njue says by embedding AI tools into bank assurance, platforms claim can also be processed faster, which enhances customer experience.
AI and digital transformation is actually making insurance smarter and faster. Because of that, you can then be able to pay claims faster, and you can be able to provide personalized insurance to clients. With regards to investment locally, we still some investment coming in locally, but there's a lot more that we need to do to be able to catch up with other global players. For us to reach those populations, need to do a lot more digitalization, and then we do a lot more partnerships with either banks, telcos, and other cooperatives, because within that space we are able to reach a lot more of those underserved populations.
Elsewhere, Kenya is collaborating with development partners to scale up production of quality seeds through the establishment of model crop research stations across the country. International Maize and Wheat Improvement Center Chief Science and Innovations Officer Sarah Han says the initiative will see seed processing capacities in Kenya quadrupled.
Kenya's 200 registered seed companies produce 50,000 metric tons of certified seed annually. Kenya is seeking to boost production powered by a national seed policy, as well as upgrading and establishing more seed companies. This is a model facility, which the government hopes will serve not only as a quality seed production facility, but also as a center of excellence for crop improvement, training of students and scientists from Kenya and beyond.
And we have come in to partner to bring in the technologies, some new building infrastructure, new pumps, so that we can irrigate the land appropriately.
Certified seed production faces challenges including climate variability, reliance on rain-fed agriculture, as well as quality control and certification, which impact food security.
Because of the lack of a good modern facility where sorting, packaging could have been done, and distribution, we used to not to be able to reach the capacity of the demand of the research and also of the promotional material we needed. A part of innovation involves making mistakes, and more importantly, it involves learning from those mistakes. And so we have started to understand how best to even place buildings and place different rooms around buildings so that you have process flow.
Speakers at the launch of the model research facility in Kiboko, Makueni County underscored the need for collaboration to address challenges facing quality seed production.
The kinds of technologies that we use here not only help us screen material better so we can find the absolute best material that is being developed, but it also helps us do that faster.
Alanako, Lunchtime News.
Now, over 50 grassroots league teams representatives in Machakos County have benefited from the maiden first aid training courtesy of Football Kenya Federation Machakos branch in partnership with the Red Cross Society and the county government.
The training that took part at the Kenyatta Stadium in Machakos sought to equip the learners with basic medical aid in tackling common injuries that occur during football matches or training.
Tumefunzwa jinsi ya kumpa mtu first aid, moja yao ikiwa CPR, mtu akifaint, mtu akipatwa na injury.
Training yenye tumepata leo ya first aid itatusaidia kusaidia wachezaji wetu wakipata injuries kwa uwanja, naweza wasaidia. We have learned a lot. Imekuwa section poa, tumeacquire more.
Ni players wengi wanapata injury and then unapata hakuna mtu yote akona knowledge ya first aid ama ya kutreat injury. So tumedecide leo to equip kila team, one person per team, wakuje hapa wapate training so that games ikianza tunajua players zetu wako safe.
Some of the common injuries identified by the medical team on the ground are sprains, fractures, concussions, heat injuries and stress fractures. Following the exercise, the trainees received a certificate indicating a successful project and their readiness for when called to action should an accident occur during a match.
Training hii imefanyika katika level mingi kutoka Division 2, regional teams and county and sub-county teams. Pia academies pia wamekuwa hapa makochi wao kupata mafunzo ambayo watapata huduma ya kwanza na vile watasaidia iwapo kutatokea dharura aina yoyote katika kiwanja.
We hope the training will be of a very great help for our players, and then we also going forward our partners will also come in and for other trainings.
This exercise will go a long way in ensuring grassroots football teams are also encompassed in critical skills needed during games, something which has for long been overlooked.
Very well, that's all the time we had for KBC Lunchtime News this afternoon, but a quick one for sports lovers as Champions League quarter-final resumes tonight. The great Arsenal, the Gunners from England, welcoming Real Madrid of Spain. And in another match, we have Bayern Munich from Germany welcoming Internazionale, or if you like, Inter Milan of Italy at the Allianz Arena. We'll be here to give you all the goals, the sides, the tears as well as the joy. My name is Njue. Lensa Odingo has been my colleague on the sign language interpretation. Many thanks indeed for joining us. Don't forget to check out our social media spaces for this news plus much more. More news in our subsequent bulletin at 4, 7 and 9. Have a good one.
It's a brand new week and officially the second quarter of the year 2025. As always, it's a pleasure to have you on board right here on this show. When you see me on your screens, you definitely know that it is time for you to get your weekly dose of entertainment, and specifically when we talk about matters events. But before we get into that, have you seen the survey that showed that Kenyan men are the most handsome in the entire Africa? Yes. There's a survey that showed that. I don't know how they go about doing it. I don't know if they go around checking or they ask people. I really don't know. But apparently, Kenyan men are the most handsome in the entire Africa. Now, hold on right there. We will be getting into everything that has been happening, the events that have gone down over the weekend. As you can see, I'm alone, so let's get to do this. My name is Vivian Dagwa, or you can simply just call me Miss V, and you know what this right here is Grapevine. What you gotta do? Let's start off with a celebration of diversity in fashion, music, and dance. Yes, that is what it was all about at the USIU Culture Week. A true celebration of culture. Let's check that out. A night of glitz, glam, and color, this year's Culture Night at United States International University lived up to its reputation. True to tradition, it was a vibrant celebration of diversity, fashion, music, dance, and inclusion. The theme, Mosaic of Cultures, highlighted the beauty of unity in difference.
The evening brought to life elements of culture that define and distinguish us, artfully presented to show how diversity doesn't divide, it connects.